Welcome to section 2 of the Granny Does Christmas blanket tutorials, and here we are just at the point where I finished section 1, and to start section 2 what we're going to do is flip the blanket over to its reverse side, and this is a very simple section, or at least the start of section 2. Part 1 of section 2 is very simple. All we're going to do are with 2 rounds going round the outside of the blanket, and it's 2 rounds of granny treble clusters. So we're back to working with treble stitches again. After the half treble on the edging, treble crochet UK terms, double crochet US terms. So what you want to start with is to attach the yarn, and I'm using the lighter green for this. Attach the yarn in any corner, and we're just simply going to make the usual treble clusters. So it's chain 2, which is the equivalent of the first treble, and then 2 trebles in the corner space, 1, 2, and that's the first half of your outside corner made. You'll finish that when you've come round all 4 sides, and then just go to the next space and put in another treble, and 2 and 3, so you've got a cluster of 3 trebles in the next space between the clusters from the previous round. So into this space here with 3 trebles. Now that's all you have to do, apart from just this point here where we have to work over the join. I'll do a couple of more of these clusters and come back at that point. Traditionally, when I've made an edging around squares like this, I have done, and I'm sure if you've done my blankets before, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I've done a cluster that sits on top of the join. If you put a cluster of 3 trebles into this space here, and then another cluster of 3 into this corner space, you end up with too many clusters. So what you want to do is put a cluster sitting over the top of the join. And previously, up until my last blanket, I would advocate doing a treble 2 together, which is a decreasing stitch. I paused the video there because that lorry was a bit noisy. So back to what I was saying. Yes, this cluster that I used to do to sit over the top was a treble 1 in the first corner space, then a treble 2 together from the corner space, the first one to the second, and then finishing it with a treble 1. In my last blanket, I did trial the idea of just simply putting 3 treble crochet stitches into the gap between the 2 squares, and I think it worked quite well. So that's what I'm going to do with this blanket. I'm just going to put in 3 trebles, so my cluster is sitting over the join, and I think it works, and I think it also looks a little bit neater. So that is what I'm suggesting you do, and then continue along the edge. I'll do a couple and then let you see what it looks like. And that's what it looks like. Another lorry, sorry. And I think that works quite well. So all you need to do is to work all the way round. Remember, it is treble 3, chain 2, treble 3 in the corner, and I'll see you when we get back to this point here. And I have come round all four sides and I'm almost back at the point where I started. I've just got the last treble cluster to put in and I'm on to the corner. And remember, the corner still needs to be finished off with three treble stitches and chain 2, and then you can just slip stitch into the corner of that very first chain 2. Now you're not going to fasten off the yarn because we have one more round of granny treble clusters to make in this colour. So chain 2 and turn the blanket back onto the front. And this is a very simple round to make. We just need to, the chain 2 counts as the first treble stitch. And as you can see, it's sitting on the very much on the right hand side of that corner. So we're going to make a complete corner to begin with in this round. So that was chain 2, treble 2, chain 2, and then treble 3. So that is the corner made in its entirety, the first corner. You need to remember that when you come round all four sides. And then you can just continue with treble 3 in each of the spaces all the way round. It's not at all a tricky round to do, and it really won't take long. And that's what it looks like. So I'm going to continue now and work round all four sides, and I will see you when I have completed it and I'm back at the point where we started. And that is 2 rounds of the treble clusters complete, just about. All I need to do is slip stitch to the top of that very first chain 2 because this first corner was made in its entirety when we started the second round. So slip stitch into the top of the first chain 2 and we can cut the yarn because it's just 2 rounds of this green that we're doing. Now the cluster count for from one corner to the other corner on a side is 26 clusters for the first round and 27 for the second round. And that's very important because our next part of section 2 is to make some squares. This is a half completed square, but we're making some plain squares and we're going to be attaching them along the side, and we need the correct count for the squares to fit. So that's section 2 part 1 finished, and I'll be back to show you the squares on section 2 part 2.